Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of my age, and also good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen, those who are not of my age. Now, I'm sure I have covered everybody, but I'm also sure few of you would have doubts that how do I fit into that? Well, that is something what life is about. Now, let's say I am 68 years young. So how would you call somebody who is 34 years? Half as young as me or double as young as me? I am 68 years young. Well, it's slightly confusing. Yes or no? What do you call 34 years old? Half as young or double as young? Well, similarly, it comes, what I put here, I'm going to talk to you about leadership is no rocket science. I'm not here to confuse, but again, saying that certain words, the way you use. Why the age thing come? Because we normally say, how old are you? 24 years. So 20, 24, 28 years are called old. With age, we never use the word young. That is where the problem comes. So similarly, when I say leadership is no rocket science, how do you look? What is rocket science? Is it difficult? It's easy. So where do I fit leadership? Now I got to wait because the first slide will have that connection as I move on. Okay, till then, anybody's, what is a rocket science? Okay, is it difficult or easy? Difficult? In your Diwali days, you launch those rockets, you put it in the bottle, just show a matchstick, and it goes. What is difficult in that?
We don't repair it.
Huh?
We don't repair it.
No, who is talking of repairing? We are talking of launching a rocket. And what is the science behind it? Well, you put a rocket, you might have seen the PSLV and GSLVs, right, there we get. So I'm going to talk about leadership is no rocket science. So we come to no. Okay. No. Now this is a rocket science. You might have seen India in our country is launching PSLV, one of the most reliable rocket launcher in the world. Success rate, economy rate, everything. Well, I not go to the technicalities. What happens, they launch this rocket weighing about 360 tons, and as the countdown starts, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and goes. It just goes up. All they do is light it up. Sorry, I'll get used to it. As they light it up, it produces gases, and the science is a Newton's third law of motion, which you might be remembering. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The 341 tons of gases coming out lift a rocket of 340 tons. It goes up. That is the science behind it. So simple, Newton's third law of motion. Now, launch may be simple. Again, it's something like so many years old or young. So when I talked of rocket science, the launch may be simple. It's pure science. There is a formula, there is a theorem, there is a hypothesis. Everything goes as per that. But launching is not. There is a difference between launch and launching. Rocket you put over there, light it, it goes up. But to create that rocket, the propellant inside, the setup, everything takes time. Now that is technology. So rocket science is simple, technology is not simple. And this technology is something like arts. I'll come towards the end of it, right? So there is a difference between that. And now I'll take you, before I link up to what leadership is, I'll take you to my about 20 years of journey, starting with my passing engineering. And in the end, we'll say what leadership is about, whether it's a rocket science or not. Now, I first start with September 1970. I passed out in May 1970 as a mechanical engineer. I was amongst the 5 toppers. That time the job scenario was very, very difficult. There were no jobs. So the central government started what was known as a 250 scheme. That every engineer will get 250 rupees. You go to any industry, any company, work over there, the government pays you. Now in June, when the scheme started, I did not register for that scheme. I was confident I'll get a job. June, July, August, September, I went to the professor in charge in my college. I said, sir, please register my name. He said, no, I will not. I said, sir, please. He said, no, I will not. Please, I've got other things to do. What can you do? Nothing. So I met this professor in the market 4 days later. I visited him. I said, sir, you remember, I've been in the political society for 2 years. I won in the international, inter-university competitions. I was disappointed when day before. You refused to enter my name. He says, come to college day after tomorrow. So I went to him, I talked to him. He opened the register. He said, here's a register for me. It's very simple to enter, but I will not enter. I said, any reason for that? He used a word in Punjabi. He says, 3 mahine mein hawa nikal gayi. You've been deflated in 3 months. He said, where is your confidence? Go. Another 3 months, come to me on 1st of January, you will get. I came out next month, I got a job. Now, let me go to a year and a half later. Other than that job, I started a job at 300 rupees. Within a year and 4 months, I had come to about 1,000 rupees. I was selected in the Bhava Atomic Research Center, and I also was selected for Indian Air Force. So I had 3 jobs to choose from. 1 working, 2 in the hand. I took 1 day's leave and went home to my father. I said, what do I do? He says, I don't know. I'm a businessman. I know nothing about jobs. You're intelligent. You're qualified. You got 3 jobs. You decide. I say, I am not able to do it. He says, okay, go and talk to 4, 5 of your uncles, your relatives, your something, and then decide. I said, Dad, I can't decide. He said, no, you'll have to do it. Reason? He says, I'll tell you later, which he told me many years later. You don't have to wait for so many years. You have got to wait for another 20 minutes. I'll come to that. Now, I take you to another 2.5 years down the line. October 1974, I was in the eastern sector, Hashimara. I don't know how many of you heard that place. Incidentally, when I got my posting to Hashimara, nobody knew where it is. So somebody started telling it's in Japan. I said, how come? Hiroshima, Nagasaki, so Hashimara is one of those places. Well, it's 120 kilometers from Siliguri. That story some other time. Now, I was over there. Then a fighter's base has got 2 hunter squadrons. Now, they had to go to another place, Klaikunda, and 2 NAD squadrons had to come. Now, squadron movement means aircraft has to go, a lot of ground equipment has to go, 300 technicians with their family has to shift to new place, a train has to come, people got to vacate those houses, new have to updated, renovated, new have to come, and the boss was given 30 days time to do this job. One day a conference was going on, the boss was sitting over there, monthly maintenance conference where the station commander used to be there, and during the conference he got a call. So he suddenly, what we could hear, yes sir, sir, I get you sir, no sir, but sir. Typically we could make out he's talking to a senior person to him. And then suddenly we heard, sir, please give me 2 minutes. Do I have your permission for 2 minutes? Well, he would have definitely gotten what he said. He says, sir, what you are trying to tell me is to catch the bull by the horns. I don't know how to do it. If you think you know, please come to the station, take charge. I'll work under you. I learn from you how to do it. He was referring to completing the move in 30 days. And 3 days later, we came to know that we got a letter from command headquarters that move got to be completed as early as possible, but within 120 days. Say from 30 days period, he got 120 days. This is a third story. I'll go to another one. February 1976, a new place. Our hunters got converted to MiGs. I was there. There were 4 officers. I was the junior most officer, technical officer. One day, all 3 seniors were not available on the station. Some problem came. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the experience and the expertise. So I went to what is called the chief engineer. I was flying officer. He was a wing commander, like army, a lieutenant and a colonel. So I walked to his office. I saluted promptly, smartly, and I said, he says, yes, what brings you to my office? I says, I've got a problem. He says, get out. I says, excuse me, I think you didn't hear me. He said, no, I heard you. You said you got a problem. You didn't hear me. I said, get out. So I got out. I stood outside, didn't know what had hit me. Fauji's first thing you look at the uniform. Are you properly dressed? Did I say properly? I said, yes, I've done. Then why have you sent me out? So I called a colleague in my sister's squadron. I said, Sundar sir, there is a problem. This has happened. He laughed. And believe me, that is one laughter in my life I can't forget. It was as if somebody is hitting you. I said, Sundar sir, he says, come to the squadron. I'll offer you tea, samosa, and then I'll also give you the solution. So on bicycle went 2 kilometers, had tea, samosa, and he says, you got to go back. I said, sir, don't tell me to go back. Sher ki khaan mein, maan mein, dobara bhej rahe ho mere ko. He says, you got no choice. So second time I went, again saluted. He said, yes, what brings you back? I said, sir, I've got a situation. I don't know what to do. He said, what's the situation? I said, this. What have you thought about it? I said, sir, these are the 3 options. I don't know what to do. He said, do this. Happy, saluted, but turned back. He said, come back. Don't you want to know why I sent you back? First time. I was quiet. He said, yes or no? I said, yes, sir. He said, first time you came with a problem. That was your problem. You are paid to solve your problems. I am paid to solve my problem. So why should I solve your problem? Next time you came with a situation and 3 solutions. You didn't have the experience to do what should have been done. That is where, as a chief engineer, I am posted here. So that's what it is. Well, I go to another case. October 78, helicopters. I was in the eastern sector 1 year, attached with the army. So one helicopter went to 15,000 feet altitude, upper Sela, got stuck over there, wouldn't start. So next day we sent a recovery helicopter. I was there in Tejpur, sea level, helicopter stuck at 14,000 kilometers. Next day helicopter went with the team, couldn't retrieve it. Next 3 days, bad weather. So helicopter couldn't be left in open for so many days. So next day I was told, you with technicians go in a big called 3-tonner. It's a huge vehicle. With the battery spares, we went over there. First day evening, 5 o'clock, we reached an altitude of about 9,000 feet. Over there, the army has got a acclimatization camp. Anybody going further up has to spend 5 days in that camp. Because as you go higher, there is no oxygen acclimatization. You can have breathing problems. So I told them, I said, sir, my job is only 1 day. I'll go and come back. They said, sorry, you cannot go. Do you have a green pass? No, there is a special pass in case you have to go without stopping. I didn't have that because we didn't know. Anyway, what to do? I talked to the base commander. I talked to the doctor. They said, rules are rules. You cannot go. But FOS teaches you something has to be done, has to be done. So I briefed my party. I said, tomorrow 5 o'clock, get into the vehicle. We'll just sneak out of it. So we did that. Reached 14,000 feet. Checked out what was wrong with the helicopter. Next day morning, fixed it. I got into the helicopter with the pilots. Vehicle was to come. And Tejpur, Helicopter ride was about 1 hour, 10 minutes. 5 minutes short of landing, we get a call on RT. Flight Lieutenant Sabharwal is required by station commander. Oh, very happy. My God, before I've landed, he's come to know how I've recovered and all that. So elated. Went, same, saluted smartly. Sir, come here. I have got a report from the brigade commander. You violated army orders. I've been, as per the rules, I have to take action. You are given a warning that you violated. This is your first violation. So here it is. Sign that you have received a warning. He gave me a letter. Now, my hands are really trembling. I just somehow signed. I didn't know what to do. He just put that piece of paper in the drawer. He's, sit down. What will I have, tea or coffee? My throat was dried. I couldn't say. He said, yes. So I said. By the time tea came, he got up, came across to me. He said, young man, that was my job because I've got a written thing, complaint against you. I have to take a disciplinary action. But now as a base commander, Air Force chap, what you did is excellent job. You retrieved the helicopter. And in the future, something similar happens. Please do what you did this time. Right. Let me take another case. July 1981, I was in Indian Institute of Science, almost finishing my MTech project. I was working. I don't know how many of you heard the name of Professor Satish Dhawan. He was director, ISRO. At that time, he was also director, Indian Institute of Science, on his farewell visit. So he came in my propulsion lab. I was working on a lathe. I was to have an experimental model. When there was a commotion in the lab and everybody saw Professor Dhawan, accompanied by my chairman and my guide, they entered. Mine was the first machine where I was working, and I stopped, and I heard my chairman telling, sir, here is a defense candidate. Sabharwal is doing very well in MTech. He's got admission for PhD at Caltech at full scholarship, and we are very happy. So Professor Satish Dhawan extended his hand. Young man, nice meeting you. Now from across the lathe, I extended my hand and withdrew. I said, sorry sir, my hand is dirty with soot and all that. You know what Professor Dhawan said? Young man, now it's a pleasure nowadays to see an engineer's dirty hand. It'll be my pleasure to shake it. And after that, as he was moving, somebody gave that cotton waste to clean up the hand. He said, no, let that feeling remain with me that my country's engineers are working with their hands. Fine, I'll leave it here. I'll come back to this again. And my final thing which I want to share is 1993. I was chief engineer of a base 1 year, 2 years before I left. Now in Eastern Air Command, we had Air Marshal. In that area is the biggest. I was the wing commander, 4 ranks lower. Now he had said that Air Force has got surplus manpower. Well, he was Air Marshal. He got that idea. And he says 20-25% slashed across the board, we'll send somewhere. So from my base also, everywhere, the manpower was cut. So I had under me armory, where the weapons are there, the rifles, the revolvers, the Sten carbine, and everything. About 150 of them, 310 of them. Now they had to be fired every 3 months, cleaned up, everything. So I had sent up an official letter saying that the manpower has been reduced from 13 to 7. It's not in order. The weapons cannot be serviced. That letter my boss did not forward because everybody was scared of Air Marshal. They knew in 1 year he'll go, the manpower will be restored. That's a different story. My letter was not sent. So on my technical channel, I sent to my technical boss in command headquarters. So when he came on inspection, so as a chief engineer, he asked any problems. I said, sir, not a problem, but there is an issue I want to discuss with you. This is the issue. Can you come to the armory? So I took him to the armory. I had few weapons. I said, sir, I had a time sheet. It takes so much time to clean one weapon and all that, 310 weapons. So it's not possible. And then I added, I said, sir, after 3-4 years, you would have retired. I don't know where I'll be. But on this station, many of these weapons will not fire. They'll jam. It can cause some fatality. and you and me will be responsible for that state of affairs. He looked at me, said, did you take up this matter? I said, yes, sir. My boss looked at me because he would have been put into a bad light. He said, what's the action? I said, sir, so far no action. He said, show me the letter. I put the letter. With his pen, he wrote down, the original manpower of 13 restored. Now, I have gone through these 7 stories, the real life incidents. Now I want you to think on each story and derive certain lesson, which I have done. Let's see. 250 scheme. Professor Bali told me what is patience and perseverance. He said, 3 mahine mein hawa nikal gayi. Your confidence down the drain had he put me under the 250 scheme. No, what is that? Teaching a lesson. Who teaches a lesson? Either a teacher or, in our words, we talk about leaders. Now, leaders also, I was sitting here and talking to one of my colleagues here about the followership. I said, that's a different issue. But that is now, I'm listing all these 7 incidents. I've got 34 of them. I'm writing a next book on that. So patience and perseverance. They may not tell you directly. You may be leaders, but you are, again, there is some of your bosses. So when any one of them does something to you, good or bad, you got lessons to draw. And those lessons you can use in life. They are the leadership lessons. Next one. With job, decision making. My father had said, he says in future, nobody is happy. If I tell you go to this job, after 5 years you realize, oh my God, I made a mistake. My father put me into this job. And believe me, when I took a decision to join Air Force, within 5 years I realized I made a mistake of joining Air Force. Reasons apart, because I thought everybody said I could have done much better private sector, because in defense, let me make a confession. Upper story working is never welcomed. Because if you use your upper story, the people who have to go to that Tutlung peaks and all that, you tell them go and climb. They know 100% they'll die. They don't use their brains. They use something else. So anyway, so that lesson which my father taught, ask 10 people, get all the plus and minuses, pros and cons, but make your own decision, because then you don't blame somebody else. It was your decision, so that in future you take better decisions. Otherwise you keep on blaming others. Catching the bull by the horns. The courage of that station commander to tell the boss, I don't know. If you think you can, come here and teach me. Ab us boss ki hawa nikal gayi thi. Who was saying 30 days, they gave 120 days. It's a realization. Making bosses realize when they give you targets which are not achievable. One is you accept it, and at the end of 30, 40 days, put a sorry figure. Or right in the beginning say, sorry sir, it can't be done. Please show me how to do it. That courage and conviction of, if you know your job properly, if you know what all has to be done, if you can say, sorry, it cannot be done, prove it. Get out. Handling problems. He taught me, what is your role, what is my role. Everything you can't run to the boss. Then he'll be doing your job. And after some time, boss will say, you're not required. I'm handling your department. Out you go. So, that is the next lesson. Helicopter. Carrot and stick. He gave me warning because I violated something. But he patted me for a good work done also. Believe me, hadn't the second part come, first part I would have been normal. It happens. I did something. He gave me a warning. That's the end of it. Do you think in future I would have done a similar thing? Incidentally, after that, I did similar thing 2 more times. And I taught to my youngsters, when I was chief engineer, 3 of that sort happened. Because people have to take decisions. Every time you don't have the time to go back and ask, can it be done or not? On the spot you take. 50-50. You may be right, you may be wrong. Doesn't matter. If you're right, you may get a pat. Or at least the boss will take the pat on your behalf. The pat is there. But if you fail, there is a lesson for you to learn. Handshake. Inculcating values. What Professor Dharam taught. The dignity of labor. hands dirty doesn't mean a thing. How many times there I can say, once I was in a BRD, the labor class had a strike. 4 days my office was not cleaned. One day I went and asked my warrant officer, I said, where is the broom? So what? I said, where is the broom? So I went and picked up the broom. No, sir, give me, I'll do it. I said, bloody, you would have done in the last 5 days. Now you want to do because I'm doing. And after that, the word spread. All the section, the message went, labor class may not come, we know how to clean our rooms. That is, how many bosses pass on that message, the leadership, that inculcating values, that there can be a different talk on values. And finally, the manpower. That boss, Air Marshal, I don't know how many heard his name, Dushyant Singh, was called a terror, a Hitler, and everything. And later on, next day, while going, before he comes, we line up, salute, and when the boss goes again, line up. In that lineup, he said, Sabby, I was called Sabby. First time in my life, I have overruled my own decision. But he admitted mistake. Now, when people talk ill of that boss, I talk good things of that. Nobody is 100% bad or good. So even if your boss is bad, he'll have some good quality. Look for that. And tell that boss that good quality, I'm sure you have purchased him. Okay, well, fine with this. Now I come back to what is a leadership. Leaders are born or they are created. Leadership is in two parts. No, sir, there I beg to differ. One is a part like science, sorry. One is like science. What you read in the books, leaders should do this, exact. Science means you add 10 milliliters of sulfuric acid with 10 milliliters of nitric acid. Whether you add here or on Chapati Beach. Whether a literate person adds or illiterate person adds. Whether you do here or in Pune, result will be same. So those are the leaderships which you read in the books. Every book says the same thing. The wording may be different. That is about science. But this is the technology. Rocket launch is no rocket science. Launch is science. Launching is not. Preparing that rocket to go vertically up is technology, which I call like art. Now what is art? How is science different than art? You give 5 canvases with the same canvas size, same colors to 5 different people. And put a water bottle, draw that bottle. Do you think it will be similar? No. The best one, done in the room, you make the same person stand on the sun, in the sun for 2 hours and ask it, it will be different. Ask the same person to do it next day, it will be different. So art is something to do with the situations, with the moods, with lot many other variables. That part of leadership is here. So it's both science and an art. Science you can read. Without even reading, you can't read all 100 books. But go back. Whatever time you have spent with 1 boss, 2 boss, 3 boss. I was lucky that in 25 years I moved to 17 different places. 17 flight commanders, 17 senior technical officers, 17 commanding officers, 17 station commanders, and lot many other colleagues. Probably that's how I got so much wealth of information. So every boss, good or bad things, would have taught you. So that is what is a leadership. And in our country, now, there is in the management books a chapter on followership. A leader cannot be a good leader till he's got followers, till he has been a follower. I'm not a politician, but probably one of the problems with Rahul Gandhi is he's never been a follower. So he can never be a good leader. He would know what followers are supposed to do, how to get them motivated and all that. Fine. So that is what it is for all those who are leaders, who aspire to be leaders at various levels. You remember, it's a part of a science, it's a part of an art. Okay. And the final slide. This is what leadership is all about. And the person, the lead aircraft, is the leader. The others are followers. But in other sortie, somebody from here comes and becomes a leader. Now what a leader has to do? The vertical separation, the horizontal separation. Who is to do what? Leader takes a turn, everybody takes a turn. everything is well planned to the last comma and semicolon. And after that, execution. Leader doesn't deviate, because if leader deviates, the other people won't know. It's not in that book. So the decisions to be taken. There are certain times where the followers have got nothing else to do but to follow the leader. But if the followers follow, the leader's aircraft develops a problem. It happened. One of the color emission on Republic Day, I was in that team. The leader's aircraft engine had a failure. Leader immediately transmitted my engine failure, number 4 in the formation. Number 4, come and take over the leadership role. Within short time, it was done. So this is, ladies and gentlemen of all ages, not of my age and other age, this is what I had to share with you. Thank you very much.